All right, boys. Before the episode begins, we just want to take the opportunity to direct you guys to some sources that will help fight the problem that the American police system has been causing black people all over the country. There will be at the top of the description, there will be links to petitions and other places where you can donate to the cause so that we can fight this system and actually get some change to be made because we know that this is a serious issue. We're not going to talk about it very much in the podcast itself, but we definitely feel a responsibility to at least acknowledge it, considering we have a little bit of a platform to be able to do so. So if you take the time out, click the first link in the description, uh, do what you need to do to make change to see a better America because, frankly, I'm tired of living in a very complacent America that doesn't take well to uh, busting through traditionalist barriers and just trying to keep things the same. I don't like living in an America where my friends have to fear for their lives for a routine traffic stop. So it would definitely help if you guys took the time to sign some petitions, get some laws enacted, and donate it to charities wherever you can, and do your part to get rid of the system that plagues America.
And stay informed.
Definitely do your research too. All right, back to the show.
What you want, baby, I got what you need. Don't you know I got
All right.
Who's playing piano in the background there?
That's not me, but I know what it is. It's episode 6.
Ooh.
Yo, did someone say Mambo number 6?
What a energetic start to an energetic episode of this podcast.
Dude, I got out of bed at 3 today.
Dude, so I passed out, I think, at like 12:45 yesterday
Yeah.
because for the past 2 days we've been helping a friend move. And it's always a stressful thing helping somebody else move. It's moving is just stressful in general.
Yeah.
It's true.
Like coordinating with people, trying to like, hey, do you want this in this box? What do you want in this one? How do you want us to pack things up? Everyone's different. Every little thing is different. And
Mhm.
it's not only is it taxing on the mind, it's definitely taxing on the body.
Especially with how hot it was yesterday.
Oh my, it was humid. It's not the heat that gets you, it's the humidity. Anyway,
Yeah, it didn't help that she lives on the top floor of both respective buildings.
Yeah.
that it's so funny. She likes the view, I guess.
Yeah.
But oh my god, at least with her other apartment, or with the new one that she's in, the flights of stairs weren't like insane. And it's not
Oh,
like
no. Yeah.
she's living on like the 6th floor like she used to be. But the only downside is there's no elevator in that complex, which like obviously makes sense. But
It's also, this is more of, instead of like the old place that she stayed at was like a stereotypical apartment, like a studio apartment where it was like one room. This new one is like, it's still a studio apartment, but it's in like smaller, more kind of like homey kind of feeling area.
I don't think it's a studio apartment. I think it's just I don't
Well,
know. I'm like
because there's only one bedroom.
there is only one bedroom, but there's also
There's like an
a
office.
couple
Yeah.
different spaces in that place. Like there are like designated areas for like this is quite clearly going to be a living room and this will be either a dining room or an office. With her old apartment, it was literally just you walk in, you see the kitchen to your left, the living room in front of you, and the bedroom to the right. But you couldn't really call them rooms because it was all just one. And the only things that were separated were like a closet, a bathroom, and like the washing machine.
Mhm.
It's, yeah, that whole experience definitely was. I mean, it wasn't like anything to write home about, but it was definitely uh, telling of the times because I'm gonna have to be doing that at least twice this summer.
Yeah.
Well,
Like, now I got some experience under my belt. No, I've always, I've always I've helped people move before, but
getting those sweet summer bods.
heck yeah, dude. Dude, I remember last year when Jacob was moving out of his old house, and bro, that was stressful because he had to be out of the house like next day, and
Oh, I
he
remember
Ooh,
that.
and so we were like under the impression like, yeah, his roommates will hopefully at least help him pack, but no. Right before the lease was up, all three of the roommates that he was living with just dipped. They're just like, all right, see ya, you got it.
All right, monkey.
Yeah, and so
that is not fun.
That's not kosher.
so and I think Jacob was gonna be out of town, and so it was me and the people he lives with now, just like scrambling to get everything back over to another apartment where he would be staying until they all got another place together. And Jesus, that day was dummy stressful. Like, not only was it like incredibly hot, but he's got a lot of things. And a lot of things that require like several different trips to make. Like a couple piece set of a couch, or lots of pieces to a shelf that he had. But
Mm-hmm.
I can only look. I look at like I honestly I never dread helping somebody move.
Oh no, I love it.
I'm like
It
it's
makes me
like
do stuff.
yeah. At the end of the day, you feel pretty good because you've done a whole lot of labor and now you're in a new environment, or you've helped someone get into a new environment.
Mhm.
The problem that I have right now is it next well, I guess in the coming weeks I'm going to be moving out of my basically my childhood home.
I'm gonna
Uh
lose my
Yeah.
house at home.
I'm going to be moving out. I'm going to be going down to uh another area of the state. Uh, pretty far away from everyone. About 45 minutes from campus.
Oh,
And that's where my folks will be staying.
That still wasn't too bad though.
sorry.
It's not the worst.
Dropped my
And
water.
the reason it's not terrible is because after a month of living there, I'm probably going to be moving again. In with a few friends, Jimmy included.
Indeed.
And that
You think you're just gonna leave some of your stuff in the boxes?
depends on what, yeah, probably. Like some clothes I'll probably end up leaving in boxes because I'm not out here like busting a fit every single day. I just put on athletic shorts and a t-shirt.
Yeah, I'm hip.
So like I'll just like make do with what I have. I'm not gonna unpack everything. Obviously, I guess my bed will. I don't know how I'm transporting my bed anyway, but either way, that's something we figure out when we get there.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I'm probably gonna keep a lot of the stuff I have in boxes. Probably just gonna bare minimum it for a month, obviously, while we solidify where my next living situation will be.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And yeah, that should be cool. I'm excited. I'm excited for sure because this is gonna be my first time uh living without like living an extended period of time without any parental guidance. And I'm
Yeah.
more than ready to do that because while I absolutely love being here, I definitely want to show that I can be independent you know, being
Yeah.
a college kid and doing
Collage kid.
a college kid and trying to work and such. I definitely want to show that I can be a functioning adult. And so, yeah, I'm excited. I'm definitely very much looking forward to the summer because it'll be a summer of progress.
Yeah. A lot of stuff to do.
Heck yeah, baby.
Mm. Do y'all have any other plans for the summer? Like personal goals or anything?
Or, I mean, for me personally, like, I'm gonna be going to this music camp in like a month.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So it's gonna be quite the experience because um, with all this coronavirus, all this stuff going on. I don't know. I mean, it's gonna be interesting because one, it's my first time going to like a music festival like this, but also it's like the first time I'm spending kind of like an extended time of more than like a week away from my parents, and I'm
Right.
20, so it doesn't. Really, it's just really weird that I'm doing it now, but it's just I get finally get to get a taste of being independent. I guess.
Yeah,
Um,
that's definitely fun.
but other than that, yeah, nothing much.
So is it like a big like ensemble thing that you're going to be in?
So the
Like,
plan was for it to be like a huge orchestra.
oh, okay.
However, things have changed because COVID-19, and we need to keep our social distancing up on point. So instead, what we're doing is we're making up just a bunch of chamber ensembles and stuff.
Oh, that's actually kind of cool.
So I won't get like the orchestra experience, but I still get to get into that realm.
Yeah, that is kind of cool. I know our school is doing a clarinet academy, but it's entirely online. And having done
Ooh.
the clarinet academy in person, I'm very interested to see how that goes because um, being in person for that, obviously, I mean, it makes sense. You show up, you do your daily days, you do your activities and whatnot, and it's like you take for granted how much like in-person coordination actually like enhances an experience. Like I remember dreading waking up at 8 so that I could be there at 9. But now I'm like I would rather make sure that I'm awake at 8 and be there at 9 rather than roll out of bed at 8:45, boot up my PC and just kind of sit and wait until 9
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
for an online uh lecture, master class, what have you. I'm more in I'm interested to Jesus, I cannot speak. I'm interested to see how that goes because
Yeah. It's
with
always interesting to see what the teachers have to say.
yeah. Because with how like during the semester like how studio worked out, I mean it kind of worked, but at the same time I'm like I wish I was kind of here like in person listening to people rather than having to stress out about recording and having to worry about like audio quality and if it'll work and if like I can actually send the recording to my teacher and if she can actually hear it and all of these like extra factors that I've never had to worry about being in person. I
Mm.
feel like um, there's something we could kind of get into. There's like a little bit of you're a lot more hard on yourself when you have to submit a recording, and that's for like obvious reasons. You don't want to submit like a botched take of a recording just because it was your first go. But it also it makes people look through a very very magnified lens,
Mm-hmm.
and it causes a lot more like hair pulling and like very much like through gritted teeth like trying to get the perfect take. And because I know from like recording juries and stuff this semester, that was annoying. It wasn't so much like because like at this point in the semester or at the end of the semester you should have like a pretty good idea of what your jury piece is going to be. And like, I need to stop saying like, oh my god, I just realized how much I've been saying. You get to a point where you know your music very well, and getting a take of it that you like is so hard, because you could record for an hour and have a good selection of takes, but something in you will say, well, she's going to point out, he or she is going to point out like intonation here or a box rhythm there, or you didn't keep the pulse here. And it got to the point where I was spending upwards of 2-3 hours straight recording takes over and over and over. And I I figured out quickly that you can't really go more than, at least for me, I couldn't go more than an hour without like putting everything down and like walking around for maybe like 15 minutes and getting my mind off of it, because I would get kind of frustrated with how things were going if I didn't get like a pretty good take within that hour.
Okay.
I don't know. How was your experience with recording juries or any other things for like projects and stuff?
Mm,
I mean, I actually really enjoyed it. I took a lot of pride in my recordings, kind of like what you were saying with like sitting there for a long time and doing the same thing over and over again and still messing up is disheartening. But um, I took it as a kind of opportunity to solidify some things that are on my to-do list as far as playing goes. Like if I notice small things, but if I notice the small things consistently, I'll write them down and note that I need to work on them, like over the summer, for instance.
mhm. I don't know. For me, like, I'm kind of super nitpicky. So, like, I'm nitpicky with myself always, like, with especially with playing. But when it came to recordings and stuff, especially if I knew, like, I made a mistake, I stop. I I would grind out a certain part for like maybe 10 or 15 minutes, and then I would try again. And then if I kept messing up, that's what I'd do. So I recently had to do a recording, um, and that took 5 hours.
Hmm. I mean, it was a lot of pieces,
Yeah,
though.
it was 4 pieces, but still, it was just like for me. The thing is these aren't even that long. They're maybe 4 minutes tops, like each, and that should be what, maybe an hour. Like if you're like kind of prepped and all that stuff, but I wasn't really prepped at all to do this. But I was still like really nitpicky with myself, so I was just like, I keep messing up. I gotta start over. So I have like 300 takes of the same 2 minutes because I keep messing up at this certain part, etc.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely feel you there. I there was this stretch of recordings that I had, and I think I kept messing up right at the end at the same place. I it was it was so, cuz it must have been like a transition from, let's say, like the last section to a coda or something like that. I don't know. I'm not too brushed up on my sections of music, but it was the very final bit of the piece for me. And it was a part where I'm like, I know this part. I can play it, I can isolate it, and I can play it fine. And then I can go back to the section before it, and then I can play it fine. But for some reason within the context of the entire piece, once I started, maybe it was a psyching myself out kind of thing, where I got to there, I'm like, all right, don't mess this up. My inner monologue is going at like a mile a minute, being like, yeah, don't mess this up. You got this. You know what to do. You got this. And then I mess it up, and then I
Death.
get angry,
Fair.
and
No,
it is very much disheartening.
yeah, there's like a clip the same day I was doing those recordings. There's a I recorded myself basically throwing a trash can. Before that, I was like kicking chairs and yeah, it was bad.
I remember this video. I
Um,
saw it. I was like, oh my god.
no, I was pissed because I kept messing with the same thing and it took really long. Eventually I got it. And then
That's the best feeling.
yeah. No, I
That is
got
the
it, and then I had to do it
best.
again because apparently I didn't follow directions. So I didn't clap. I'm kidding.
Yeah, you gotta sync the audio when you do stuff like that.
Yeah, no, that was my bad part. But at that point, it was like I had already recorded it so much, it was just like I could probably do it again, no problem.
Yeah. And I think once you get a good take of it, stop. For me, all right, so how I broke up my recording sessions is I would go until I got a good take for my standards. And then I would pause for a minute just to like let it set in, let the energy in the air kind of clear, and not force myself to do a better take. Because then you get in your own head is like, why didn't you play that like you did before? And so I would take like a substantial break between pretty good takes. And I mean, obviously, this isn't strictly regimented. This isn't like strictly followed. But what I notice is once you do a good take,
Mm-hmm.
you feel really good about it. And then you just back up and say, hey, I have something that I can submit if I don't get a better take.
Mm-hmm.
And normally that constant search of a better take is very detrimental
Mm-hmm.
for me, at least, because I'll start to get into that place where, okay, where else can I go with this? Like, how else can I improve this?
Mm-hmm.
And it leads to me getting more frustrated than I need to be when I have a good take in my pocket. And so, I don't know, I definitely learned a lot about myself and how I deal with recording projects rather than having to do live performances. Because when you do it live, it's kind of like a full send. You just do it,
Yep.
and whatever happens at the end is what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, I'm also guilty of getting really hard on myself after the end of live performances. But recently, I've learned that whatever happens, it's like as long as you know that you put in the work and you've learned that piece up and down, left and right, I think at the end of the day you're fine. Even if a performance does not go very well.
Mm-hmm.
I think knowing that you know the piece and conveying to the audience that you know the piece.
Right.
There's definitely something to be said about that because I, for the longest time, was like, oh, if I squeak here and if I do this, because my main problem with playing my stupid old clarinet, it's
Mm-hmm.
not, I really like the clarinet, but with my altissimo register, I'm not super strong, and I very ambitiously picked a piece this semester that was basically all altissimo, and just so that I can work on that register. And it got to the point where my professor was like, hey, there needs to be a spot filled for this departmental, and we would like you to play your piece. And I was like, yeah. And like I specifically picked that piece because I like the piece. And so I was like, yeah, sure, for sure. Um, we get to the day of the performance. I'm kind of panicking because my warm up didn't go super well. It was fine, but there was a leak in my clarinet.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
And we had found a fix the week before. And so I was sitting there putting more tape around the cork of the middle joint of the clarinet.
Yep.
I think I put too much. And I didn't tell anybody that I did this before, but I put too much to where I don't think a seal could have been created. Because there was so much tape in the way,
Mm-hmm.
it like prevented the two joints from completely coming together. And so I get on stage, I play, and right when I get to the fast section of the song, it is just squeaks uncontrollably.
Mm.
And in my mind, I am freaking out. I don't know did any of you go to that?
Yeah.
Okay.
When was this? When
Yeah,
was
I
this?
did.
This was Chardas.
Ah. I don't
So
think I was there. I think I saw a
Yeah, I
recording.
think we were both there, John.
Were we there? I don't remember.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
anyway, I squeaked a ton. And if you remember, I only remember because I beat myself over it for that day. Um, but I squeaked a ton. And in my head, I'm freaking out. But with all of this training and stuff, I still was able to convey some sort of musical ideas with it. I was able to do dynamics. I was able to do contrast, even though I'm squeaking like something. I don't know. I'm definitely squeaking a lot more than I ever had during a run of this piece. But I keep going. I get through the end. I do my bow. I walk off stage. I throw my clarinet in my case. Well, not throw it. I angrily take it apart safely and put it back in my case very passive aggressively. And I get my bass clarinet out for the choir piece that we have at the end, which went also equally as bad, but not because of any reasons that I had control of. But anyway, I think the point to that was, even though I felt like that was an awful, awful performance, there was still so much to take from that performance that
Oh yes.
showed that I knew what I was doing and that I'm not just up there making a fool of myself. Because
No, it feels like that.
it feels like you've got so many eyes on you and they all are judging you negatively no matter what. I feel like the preconceived notion is that everyone's there to critique and they already have a negative view. They're just there to point out mistakes and not point out your like the good things that you did.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
that performance, I think, made me realize, and whether or not it was right then and there or right at or like the months after, made me realize that most music students aren't there to critique and be nitpicky and point out mistakes.
Right.
They're there to learn. They're there to see what other instruments do in performances, and they're there to listen to music at the end of the day. And that's like with all of my performance, with all the things that I attend, all like the departmentals and the concerts and whatnot, I'm there to listen to some good music.
Mhm.
That's
Whether,
true.
yeah, and it's never I'm going in there and being like, oh, this is gonna be a train wreck. um, it's always there to like either support friends or to really enjoy other different styles of music, because on campus we have a ton of different ensembles that put on performances. We have a steel pan ensemble. We got a Latin American ensemble. Those are things that I never really thought were things or never thought I'd be able to experience. And
Mhm.
I've been to all of, well, not all of, obviously, but like I've been to a few of their performances and been very amazed. And never once did I go in there being like, oh, I'm going to see if all these steel pan players are really up to par.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's a bit of performance psychology.
Mhm. And
Do
those
you?
ensembles that you mentioned do such a great job, and I haven't seen this in any other ensemble or musical group on campus. They do such a good job of setting the mood,
Yeah.
you know? Like no matter who's in the audience, everyone is grooving.
Yeah.
You
Yeah. Yeah.
don't see that at like an orchestra concert or
Oh
something like
hell
that.
no.
No, and that's different worlds too. And that's like
That's true.
whatever. And but there's definitely something to be said, like the power of an ensemble to completely like shift, because I feel like a lot of people go to these departmentals because they have to. And I know for me it's most of the ones that I attend are because they are required from for another class. But when like the jazz department puts on like jazz combos or Latin American or steel pan, I make sure that I attend those, because not only am I getting credit for a class, I'm there to enjoy what I'm listening to. Anything the jazz department puts on, I don't think I've ever not liked anything. that the jazz department has put on.
Yeah, man.
There's
'Cause
definitely
I'm there.
yeah, for
That's
sure.
a lie.
I think yeah.
And it's
I think it has
100% a lie. But
well, I think it also has like a little to do with like the medium that those kinds of groups bring, because those were kind of meant for more of like a common crowd. Like the times have changed. Back in the good old day when people were wearing powdered wigs and walking around with everyone wearing high heels. Um, it was just like classical music was all they had. But as like time progressed, we developed jazz, and then that became like the working collar man music, and you can go to like funk, which is like the '60s, and then go slowly into pop and rap, etc.
Yeah, some good stuff, and I'm glad our department really takes pride in performing both of those like styles of music. Putting like two labels on those kinds of music is very much generalizing, but for this, it's definitely nice that they take pride in having ensembles that can both speak true and uphold the ideals that classical music set forth and delve and divulge. I don't think that's a word. What was I going to say? Both expand upon and cherish the newer styles of music that are being developed every single day, or things that have been recently developed.
Mhm.
It's really cool. I'm a big fan of the ensemble, the chamber groups that we have on campus. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's dope. I am very much appreciative of that. So, yeah, do you guys have anything else you want to add onto that topic
I think
before we?
you had a pretty good like very overall idea that
Yeah,
I do agree with.
true.
Mm.
Thanks. So, I kind of wanna, I wanna stop talking for a bit. Me specifically. I wanna facilitate some ideas. I wanna run some ideas across you guys.
Sure.
I'm just gonna look through this list here. You guys have access to this as well. I want to run these by you, and I want to create a little bit of a discussion.
Yeah.
So, um, let's see. What idea do I want to? I'm sorry. I just read.
Some of them are good.
Some of them are really good. Let's see here. So, I want to discuss the idea that when we sleep, we become galactic beings and travel around the Earth to watch different events and stories, and that's why dreams are so weird. What do you guys think about that?
What is the what are we trying to explain? I don't understand.
When we sleep,
Right.
all right, we become galactic beings and we
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
travel around the Earth, right?
Uh-huh.
And we can see different events take place. And these are real events that take place, and that's why our dreams are so weird.
Is that a
You know,
statement or a question?
it's
Yeah.
Hmm. Just
So,
thinking of the feasibility of this concept is it's 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 like hopeful and unrealistic.
very unrealistic.
You
I
know,
think there's an explanation as to why dreams are so weird.
Maybe. How about? Okay. Like it's weird to think of it like this, but it's just like when you're unconscious, and like basically what happens is you lose control of your body, or like at least your physical body. But when you're dreaming, you can do anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the reason you can do anything is because you're looking in a perspective of, I don't know, let's say a higher being, right?
Mm-hmm.
But instead of it being like strictly the planet, it's like an alternate universe where you somehow became master or god. But whenever you go to sleep, you go to that realm and you act out your shenanigans there or whatever.
I like that idea of being able to access dimensions that we when we're alive, or not alive, awake. When we're awake, we can't access. But at the end of the day, I know that it's because our body naturally produces DMT.
What does DMT stand for?
You know, that's really good, and I know the answer. Can you ask me the question again?
What does DMT stand for?
Uh, because I know it, and it stands for something. And why don't you ask me the question again? Oh, you don't have to. It stands for dimethyltryptamine, and it's a hallucinogenic drug that you can find naturally occurring in most plants and animals. It's not as well known as other hallucinogens like
What the-
LSD and
what-
mushrooms.
The implication is
And
that
this
we
came directly from my dome,
from your dome,
my DMT dome.
your DMT magic maker.
Yeah.
Isn't the implication that DMT is a drug then, not what your brain produces?
No, your brain produces it.
Hmm.
So,
So technically,
Like
we're all
dopamine.
druggies.
wait, what'd you say?
Cause you said that DMT is something produced by like shrooms and stuff.
No. It's produced by plants and animals, but it's less well known than LSD and mushrooms.
Mm.
And it's also something that Joe Rogan likes to talk about.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about CBT?
It's cheap and easy to extract, and yet nobody sells it.
Oh, I thought you were talking about CBT. Well,
Yeah, I'm sure.
I mean, I guess.
I don't know if a lot of people are selling that, but we can move on.
Good call.
So, this one's just threatening. Well, this one's aimed at you, the viewer. You have taken my ability to perceive the outside of this vessel, and I'm coming to regain my ability. But, we can move on from that.
Hello. That's just threatening. That's not anything. I feel alarmed.
I am also alarmed.
Like heavy breathing. Like
So, did you guys know that the Avengers movies are based on real events, but we can't actually remember them because Thanos?
Because the Thanos snap.
Yeah.
wait. So what year is it now?
Oh, it's still 2020.
Yeah, it's still 2020.
So, what happened was the Infinity Wars took place. Right now, I don't know. I wonder.
Well, that's good. The Thanos snap, you don't know.
So, kind of getting into somehow making this a little bit more serious. You guys know about like the infinite dimension theory.
Yeah.
That for every
Yeah,
choice,
like the multiverse.
yeah, for every choice that's been made, there's
Freaking
another
Morty.
universe that made the opposite choice, and therefore there are infinite universes.
Yeah.
And so, there is a universe out there with that theory in mind where the Avengers are real, and stuff like this just happens.
Oh yeah.
Very cool.
I'm wondering
Mhm.
what sequence of events had to take place for something like that to be naturally occurring in another dimension.
The
'Cause I
bombs.
I'm gonna be honest, I didn't really watch a lot of Marvel movies. I watched the big ones like Iron Man and Winter Soldier, and I don't remember a whole lot of them.
Mhm.
But I watched like Infinity War, I watched Endgame, actually I watched a lot of the newer ones,
Okay.
but I didn't watch a lot of the old ones, so I'm not really sure about like origin stories there.
Well, I've
Hmm.
seen every single one of them.
I know people that are obsessed. Dude, if we brought this topic up with Sam, oh my goodness.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, excuse me. Yeah, he'd definitely be able to go super in depth. Cause
He's a
Yeah.
stupid nerd. I'm kidding.
but it's definitely interesting because some of that stuff is just straight up supernatural, and or at least supernatural to our puny minds.
Hey, it could be
So-
normal somewhere else. I'm just saying.
That's what I'm saying. And it's definitely, it makes me feel dumb small, because if the universe is infinite, which it isn't, but if there's a universe outside of this universe that we live in, if there are infinite universes,
Mhm.
bro, this is scaring me.
There's
Yeah.
a universe where I'm skinny and buff and handsome man.
So, do you ever think about what happened before 13 billion years ago?
As in before the Big Bang.
Yeah, before like the cosmic microwave background, I think it's called,
Yeah.
The big microwave.
the big microwave,
God pulled out his
where
Totino's pizza rolls.
the oldest we can trace back is protected by the big cosmic microwave background something. I'm not sure if that's correct. I
Nah, I
took a
like
strong.
pizza bagels anyways.
Yeah. I mean, that concept is kind of where um, the multiverse theory kind of takes its standing.
Mhm.
Is that the Big Bang, or this large mass of just pure energy and stuff, came from somewhere else?
Right.
Because how could there have been nothing if
Right.
there's a ball of mass just sitting there?
Right. That's what I. So, but the thing is, there had to have been a beginning.
Yep.
But, bro, that
But the question is, what is the beginning?
that scares me to think about, because how did things just happen? And I think a lot of that can be explained with religion and stuff. And I think, not, this is not me saying, oh, this is why people are super religious, because they have nothing else to base these questions off of. But it's definitely probably a lot easier to have a faith in something. Or not, I don't
Yeah.
say
I
easier.
mean, that's what the Greeks and Romans did.
Yeah, I don't say easier to make it sound like condescending, like it's the easy way out, it's the easiest way to think, but it definitely gives me reassurance that there was an origin and there was a beginning, and there will eventually be an end, depending on how you view things. Um,
I mean, sun's going kablooey in probably a billion years. So
yeah, something, it's like stuff like that. But we don't, on Earth specifically, the things that we have created for ourselves, it it tries to explain a lot of things, and it's great. And I don't think I have a but statement here, because it's it's very important to have at least some form of explanation to like other unexplainable things, like things that can't be explained by science, because
oh,
you'll have people that are super condescending about it.
right.
And that's kind of what turned me off of Neil deGrasse Tyson. Because before, he was insanely insightful, and I really appreciated all of his like thoughts and stuff. And then a couple interviews in a row where he was just being so condescending about the origin of this Earth, and
Mm-hmm.
also other movies that have to tackle this topic of science versus religion. Are any of you guys familiar with the movie Contact?
No.
I think I saw a trailer for it.
So it's a fairly old movie. I think Christian Bale is in it.
Okay.
Oh wait, hold on. Is the one? No, that's Prometheus. Never mind.
So the premise of the movie is Earth has been visited by a star system, beings, well, not beings, but like technology from a distant star system. I think the star is Vega, and it's a real star. So this is all based in like things like true scientific lore, I guess.
Right.
So the astronaut, the protagonist, gets chosen to go on this mission, and she has to go through like a trial before she gets accepted to go into space. And this is the probably gonna like the first, obviously the first person to travel to another star system from technology that wasn't built by people on Earth. Like the schematics and stuff were designed by people from this star system, and so people on Earth build it, and they have to select astronauts to go and explore this system, or at least test what exactly these contraptions do. Uh, Obviously, do you? I don't know if anyone cares if I spoil this movie. I watched it in astronomy in high school, so
When did it come out?
I want to say 2007.
Oh, okay, then spoil it.
Yeah, so you've had 13 years to watch a movie that nobody's heard of. Anyway, so the kind of, I would call it the climax of this movie, happens in the trial, where one of the dudes who is basically the male, I don't, what I call it, love interest, I guess so, I guess it's the male love interest, is on the council, and he's part of who gets to decide to go into space, and he asks the question, do you have faith in God that he will protect you on this journey? And she goes, well, that would imply God exists, so no. And when she said that, I got mad. Because before I had definitely called myself atheist. I was like, oh yeah, you can't prove, like, that there's a God because science says there is no God. And,
Well, I don't think it explicitly says that though.
right. So, with what, because I was dumb, I was high school. I like had this thought because like, ooh, this sets me apart from a lot of people. I'm edgy. I have a higher set of mind value.
It actually
I
takes
guess.
a really high IQ to.
It takes a really high IQ to understand why there is no God. No, no, it's I I got mad at that because I was like, how condescending can you be to a bunch of people in a room who all believe in God? They're like, she's like, yeah, well, why would I believe in something that doesn't exist? It's not explainable by science. It's just that. And they're like, well, yeah, but so you don't have faith that you'll survive? And she's like, yeah, I have faith in myself that I can protect myself. And they're like, so she ultimately ends up getting declined the opportunity to go to space. Obviously, at the end of the movie, she goes to space anyway. She meets her dead dad. Cool. That's like,
Jesus
it was
Christ.
such a stupid ending. It was so dumb. um, but there's definitely a big moral shift that I had from watching that movie. I was
Hmm.
like, no, there's definitely something out there. And from then on, I called myself agnostic because I didn't know exactly if I believed in God or if I believed in something else. I've done research in the past. Um, I'm fairly certain my beliefs fall under the dome of Christianity,
Mhm.
but I was definitely enlightened by that movie for because, and it's so weird how like moments like that can just come to you in the most random places. 'Cause that was high school astronomy where everybody else is asleep in the class, including the teacher,
Yeah.
and it was a great class, but it was just
Great movie.
the most. Yeah, the movie wasn't even that good. Like I watched it because it's the only thing on in the class, but it's it was just very eye-opening to me in the weirdest way.
Man, you freaking watching like freaking eye-opening shit. I watched Shrek 2.
Yeah. Spanish SpongeBob. Yeah.
Dude, I would kill to watch Spanish SpongeBob. We watched I believe it was SNL skits in Spanish.
Oh my
There's something called Que Hora Es.
Nah, dude. When
I
I
don't know
was
if it was.
no my language class, we literally because I took Japanese in high school. When we would watch a show, we would turn on like, I think it's like Studio Ghibli movies or something, but we turn off subtitles, and then we had to like write like an essay about it. Like, what the fuck? This is when I
That's
took.
torture.
I can't remember if it was 3 or 4, but it was like the most intimidating shit I ever done.
That sounds terrifying. I remember I had the Japanese teacher as my homeroom teacher one year,
Mm-hmm.
And there was one class where she wouldn't let anybody leave to go to another class, and so she made us all watch anime.
Nice.
Freaking.
It was fine. It was whatever. I don't. Yeah, it was whatever. That wasn't very memorable, but
Language barriers, my favorite. Anyways.
Jimmy, you have any ideas that you want to bring forth?
No, actually, I don't think.
Oh.
You don't think? Why is that?
Because I am not.
Well, I kind of have something I want to talk about. Since we were kind of going off of just like myths and like kind of like stuff that shouldn't exist or doesn't exist, you want to kind of want to talk about like urban legends, like the scary ones.
Ooh.
Like, I like when I was growing up, I kind of like read like they're called creepy pastas, and it's just basically like
Yes.
these cursed like urban legends where it's like, oh, you have Scary Man who's basically Joker, but
My
oh look,
favorite creepypasta,
My-
Scary Man.
Scary Man. Oh, but don't worry, he slit his mouth open just like the Joker, but he has no paint.
He's just eyes and mouth.
He's just eye
Dude,
and mouth.
Jeff the Killer freaked me out. I couldn't sleep very many nights because of that guy.
I remember there was this one time where my friend knew that I was terrified of him, and he pulled his phone out. I started crying. I grabbed his phone and chucked that shit because he kept showing it to me, and I was just like, dude. I was like, stop. And this is
You know what
sixth grade, seventh grade me. I broke his phone. I didn't pay for it. I told him to stop.
Yeah, you're in 7th grade. What are you gonna do?
Man had a Galaxy S4. I was like, bro.
Bro, I think my favorite creepypasta is Squidward's suicide.
That's like the. Oh, it's kind of unsettling.
That's the one that was kind of like the gatekeeper one for me, because I've been browsing that website like on and off as like a little challenge for me, because I was always too afraid to see stuff like that. And so I was like, let's see if there's any creepypastas about like softer topics. And one of them was Squidward's suicide. And I remember like I was unsettled, but I wasn't scared.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like, what if like something like that actually exists?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And so I got into this rabbit hole of reading creepypastas every homeroom in 8th grade. All of them were basically just slender but not slender, you know?
Scary thing.
Scary woods, man kill. Uh-oh, he's writing this right now. Oh.
There,
Stuff
Wait,
like
how
that.
does that make sense?
there's one creepypasta which before I even knew it was a creepypasta was just something that I grew up hearing as a kid. So we're located in Virginia. I'm not gonna say exactly where, but there's this story of.
I know what you're talking about, and I feel like if you say where it is, it's just gonna. It's not like worth censoring.
Anyways, but there's this one story. Before I knew it was called, or this is before people called it put it in like the creepypasta umbrella. But there was this story called Bunnyman Bridge, and it's this bridge, someplace I think Woodbridge, or something like that, and it was called
Something
like
like
Bunnyman Bridge, and basically what would happen is there's this guy in a bunny suit, or something in a bunny suit, waiting there. I think it's a certain day. I'm not 100%
Is
sure.
it Halloween or something?
I think it's like a couple days before Halloween or it's on Halloween, but it's like if you would go there, the bunny man would kill you like on that bridge, and for me, because this is like I heard this when I was like 5th grade, 6th grade, like before like I went into the internet, and it was just the scariest thing to think about because it was just like, yo, what if I go to that bridge on Halloween? I'm gonna die. And so I remember for the longest time, I would avoid going to Woodbridge, especially because I grew up in. I used to live in that area, but I went to Prince William County during that time frame. I don't live there anymore, but it was just like, or not that time frame, but I grew up in that area basically, and then I moved away. But it was like it was just Like I would think back and be like, what if I crossed that bridge at one point, and what if Bunny Man got me?
Hmm.
Um, but it's just like I think that was one of the things that like got me into reading all these weird stories and creepypastas.
Yeah, I just looked up the Bunny Man Bridge thing, and it's literally 5 minutes away from where I live.
Oh my god, it's not Woodbridge, right?
No,
Okay,
it's
it's someplace. It's someplace in
it's
Virginia.
definitely very close to me.
Hmm. But like
I
I
feel
could,
like,
yeah.
yeah, I think I know where this is. It's very close to me.
Hmm.
But anyway, um, yeah, I think, yeah, with urban legends, I definitely was introduced to uh stuff like the chupacabra.
Hmm.
Do you guys? I don't. I think I've had this conversation with you off the podcast, but I've watched this show called Ghost Adventures.
Oh,
Oh yeah, I know about that.
Zach
starring Adam
Bagans.
Richman.
No, not quite.
He's just eating. He's just eating, and like the ghosts. It's like the freaking black and
Eating
white
very
camera,
very
and
hot
he's just
wings in
eating
a
very hot wings, and everyone's
abandoned
like,
hospital.
"Adam, are you okay?" And he's like, "No."
No. Adam Rich eating very hot wings in an abandoned hospital, and ghosts scream at him every night. And there's glass breaking, but he has to eat those wings in 10 minutes, or else he doesn't get a T-shirt. No, so I would always watch that kind of stuff growing up. There was something on Cartoon Network that got me into the ghost hunter type shows. I can't remember. It was something called The Other Siders.
Mm.
Wait, let me make sure that it's
Mm,
correct.
I
Cause
vaguely recognize that title.
Nah, you gotta give your boy Arl Stein a good old shout out.
yes, yes. No, it was The Other Siders. It was a very terrible show, but I remember being so obsessed with the idea of going to haunted places. The last episode they did was Alcatraz, and
Ooh.
it was five teens. And what the concept of the show was, they would go to these supposed haunted places and go and do ghost hunter stuff. And at the end of the episode, after spending a night there, they would deem it haunted or not haunted. And I can't. What was it? So, like, they would find things like moving chair and floating orbs and voice recordings of people saying lines and whatnot, and they would deem a place haunted or not haunted.
Hmm.
It was it was so interesting to me. And that's what got me into like ghost hunting shows, and that's what got me into the whole supernatural kind of stuff. And then eventually I would read creepy pastas, and I got a little bit into SCP. I never got super deep into
SCP
it.
SCP is just so people. It's like some kind of contaminate thing. It's like the story.
Secure something.
The story is like there's like all these supernatural creatures living on Earth, and it's like a government mandated branch that basically is just like containing these creatures.
Yeah.
Um,
And it was like I saw like the games that were inspired by SCP stories. Stuff like
the doll.
the vending, no, it was the vending machine or the water fountain that would give you any liquid that you typed
Mhm.
into it. Like you could ask for the blood of Christ and it would give it to you.
Oh.
Um, Stuff like that. It was weird. I never got terribly deep into SCP because there is such an extensive library of all that stuff, and most of it was like creatures that had no real semblance of ever being completely explained or had no basis in the real world.
Mm.
Like this is obviously science fiction. What got me going was stuff that was close.
Yeah. Like it was
Stuff that like could have been real.
Yeah.
murderers. Oh my god, those scared the hell out of me.
dude. Yeah, it's like murder stories. Well, I wasn't super into the murder stories, but definitely a lot of the creepy pastas in 8th grade, they seemed real enough to where, oh yeah, this could have happened.
Hmm. A lot of these
Obviously,
writers, yeah, a lot of these writers did like a really good job, kind of just like making it up.
yeah, there's
There's,
a lot of creativity.
I don't know, like to this day, there are certain things I will not dive into because of what I remember reading these stories.
Yeah, this it was very interesting, and it definitely got me to get over a fear of the unknown. Like I used to be afraid of a lot of things, but now I'm not too afraid of, like, I used to be deathly afraid of the dark, and so I would sleep with lights on all the time
Hmm.
for whatever reason. And then being exposed to so many of these like scary stories and whatnot, and Jeff the
My
Killer was definitely something that kept me up at night.
oh,
Uh-oh.
bye Jimmy. Hello Jimmy.
Whoops. I think my Discord crashed for a hot second.
It's all good.
Nah,
But
the moral of the
no, it's
story
not
is
good.
stay strapped before you go to sleep.
Yeah, yeah. Dude, I would like fall asleep with my window open and then be like, I would force myself to wake up to close it because I'm like, oh my god, I left the window open. Jeff the Killer's gonna get me now.
Hmm. No, you want to know what freaks me the fuck out? Like I'd read these creepy pastas, and like even now I kind of live in like a wooded area, but at night there are just these screams. I don't know
Ooh.
what they are. My assumption is a fox or something like close by,
Like a coyote.
or
Yeah.
like a coyote or something. But it's just like, it's like, I mean, you if you Google like fox screams or something like that, you'll understand what I mean. But it's just like, it'll be like 3 a.m. and it's just, ah!
Yeah. I remember
Yeah, I get that.
my dog used to snore, or, well, no, my dog snores when he sleeps, and he used to sleep in the hallway with like his bed and stuff. And at night when he snores, it sounded like engine revving, and I was like,
Oh,
are there
Charlotte.
like biker gangs coming to kill me?
Mm.
For some reason, stuff like that, like murder syndicates or something, like groups of people out to kill,
Yeah,
scared me.
mobsters.
Stuff like that. I was like, oh, these guys are doing their routine stop, and I'm next. I'm gonna die. Stuff like that. I would definitely psych myself out a lot, but after reading all of those, I wonder how many just objectively bad things that I've read, because I don't remember a whole lot of stuff that I would read in that homeroom class, because a lot of it was kind of the same. A
The
lot of it,
basic premise is like
yeah,
something weird happens and then they trace it back to this creature or person
yeah.
or object.
Or like my favorite ones are dives into insanity stories, like
Mhm.
where the writer, oh, there's a really good story. um it's called like Daily Routine or something, and this isn't from creepypasta specifically, but it's like the man is going through his daily routine and he forgets something, and so it's like, all right, so I've like gotta drop my daughter off at daycare, I gotta go get my coffee, and I gotta go to work. And so he's like, okay, I got my daughter in the car, and now I'm going to work. And so he goes to work, 8 hours goes by, he gets back in his car, and he's like, oh, the car smells awful. And
Hmm.
so he goes to pick up his daughter from daycare, and they're like, no, she never came to daycare today. And he drives home, and he's like, what? Okay, so what what happened? And the smell in the car is still really fucking bad. And he gets home, and his wife is like, hey, did you pick her up from school today, or daycare or whatever? And he has this like dreading, like all the color from his face just goes away, all the blood just goes to his feet, and he's like, no, there's no fucking way. He opens
Hmm.
his car, his daughter's dead in the car because she was stuck, like suffocated in the car, like a very hot day. Shit like that. It's like the writer is like getting more self-aware of I didn't do that story justice at all,
Mm-hmm.
but um, it's such a visceral experience just reading through that and seeing like the layers of realization, like, huh, yes, like I just forgot something again. My routine is broke. Whoops. Stuff like that, like small little things that he forgot to do,
Hmm.
ended up being the biggest thing that he could forget.
Like like a butterfly effect type thing.
Kinda, yeah. I don't know. Stuff like that always intrigues me.
Okay.
Like, oh, like the Russian sleep experiment. It's another one.
Oh no.
I hate the thumbnail for it.
Yeah.
I hate the image that accompanies that
The
story.
thing though is that I kind of can see something like that happening if you
Oh
drive
yeah.
someone that deep into it. So okay, um, quick recap of what the Russian sleep experiment is. There's like a bunch of guys in Russia being forced to, or they're not forced or something, but they are like a volunteered to do like a experiment where they stay awake as long as they can. I think they stay awake for like a total of like a month.
They forced them to stay awake for 30 days, I believe.
Yeah, it's like a month of just staying awake. But like towards the end, they're like killing each other. You know, they look like fucking. Their arms are like the size of sticks, but they have like stupid strength. Um,
Hmm.
and like they're just insane, and they're like ripping flesh off each other. It's crazy.
It's
But
disgusting, yeah.
it's disgusting. Yeah.
Do you have experience with scaring yourself, Jimmy, with stuff like that?
Um. No,
Jimmy never gets
actually,
scared.
I didn't look into SCP at all. If I did, it was like unintentionally, like secondhand SCP type.
Right.
So
Okay.
it's like someone said it in the discussion of something else, but I've never gone out of my way to look into it.
Okay. That's understandable.
Mm-hmm.
It's very dumb that I would do that because there are nights where I just scare myself.
No, I remember
like-
like I'd like cry myself to sleep because I'm so scared.
Yeah. Dude, I was just scared of any noise that happened in the house that I couldn't explain. And now at this point, if like
Minecraft cave noises.
like I would definitely at this point I hear a noise in my house and I'm like, if this is my moment, it's my moment. And like if this is it, here we go. I'm welcoming it. I just want to go to bed.
All right, guns blazing. Remember, go to sleep strapped.
No. No guns in my vicinity. Only fists.
You're gonna start punching Jeff the Killer.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I'd do nothing against that supernatural being. He just like choked. Oh, I think we could wrap up discussion here. Have you guys experienced sleep paralysis?
Yes.
Um. Well, if I did, I didn't know if that's what it was called.
So, have you ever woken up but couldn't move your body?
Was this like in the morning or like middle of the night?
Could be morning, could be middle of the night. So, the sensation that I had was I could open my eyes and my mind was like racing, but I couldn't physically move my body.
Hmm.
And I remember my mom explaining that when like she thought her house was haunted because she woke up one day and physically couldn't move it, like it felt like someone was sitting on her chest. And so I don't know. I don't know if I've had sleep paralysis either.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't explain something. Like, and if I did, it wasn't as scary as other people's experiences with sleep paralysis have been.
Mm-hmm. Well, something that happens with me a lot is I don't know if this is sleep paralysis per se, but if I like have a really bad night of sleep, I'll wake up, but I can perceive everything around me, but I
Mhm.
cannot act,
Mm.
and I can like reply because I'll remember it too. I'll like reply to my mom or something, but it's like automatic. Like I'm not even thinking about it, but it's just
Oh, okay.
like I don't know. It's hard to explain, but I'm conscious
Like
during
a-
all of it.
Kind of like an out of body experience.
Yeah,
Type thing.
it's kind of like I'm looking at myself sleeping, and then like I'm just my body's replying to like exactly with how I'd reply, but like I'm not physically doing it. Like I'm not controlling myself doing it.
Right, right, right.
That's as close as I've gotten as like the like weird sleep kind of
Hmm.
stuff.
Okay.
I think my only weird sleep experience is like sometimes if I'm having a nightmare or something, it won't. Well, no, it doesn't not strike me as a nightmare, but I'll just accept that it's a nightmare, and it'll be like some like inhuman, scary monster type thing is like chasing me, and I'll be like running away from it, and then it'll catch me and then look me in the face, and I'll be like, "Wow, this sucks," and just accept it.
Jim, you want to look in general real quick?
Oh snap! Yes. Oh. Oh. Y- yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, I've had a couple sleepwalking experiences, um, and they're all recently, like
Yeah.
within the past semester. Oh gosh. Um, so my first one. Well, before I tell them, I think the reasoning behind my sleepwalking was just overall stress and me not expressing the stress that I was having while awake. So I think the stress just woke me up in the middle of the night. Anyway, the first instance of my sleepwalking happening was, I think it was earlier on in the semester. Um, I want to say like February, like late February. And I get up in the middle of the night, and I think my brain told me that like it was time it was time to go to class. So I didn't get dressed. I put on my backpack, grabbed my key and put it in my PJ pocket, and walked out the door and then down the hall, and then that's when I woke up. Like
Oh.
that's when I became conscious. Somehow I still remember everything that was unconscious, but I woke up and then looked around for a little bit, and I was like, "What? Huh?"
Right.
And then I just turned around and walked back, and then surprisingly, I was like, "Why is my key in my pocket?" And I swiped the key, and I went in, and then put my backpack down, and then laid down in the bed and looked at my phone, and it was like 4:30 or something like that, and I was like, "That was weird," and then just knocked out.
Uh,
Yeah.
it's very. I feel like I've had something like that where I instinctively just get ready to go, and then I check the time. I'm like, wait a minute. I don't need to be awake right now, and I just fall back asleep.
Yeah.
So, the scariest thing I've done is it happened last year. Um, it was like a weekend or something like that, but I did not sleep like the day before. But I was trying to go to sleep, and I eventually did. But when I woke up, it was like what, maybe 4 a.m. But I woke up in the parking lot.
Ooh.
Wait, where?
I woke up and it was an parking lot, and
Oh.
I was in my car,
Hmm.
which freaked me out even more. And I was just like, "What?" I was like, "What am I doing at?" Because at the time, I think it was like, do you guys remember that there's like a Shoppers near my house?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it closed down, but like I woke up in my car in the driver's seat with my phone on the dash, my backpack in the trunk, and I'm just sitting there. It's like 4:30, and I see big yellow Shoppers, and it's just like, was I trying to go to school? Because for me, normally when I do wake up early, or during the school year, I tend to wake up early to go to school to practice, because I don't like doing it at like the end of the day. Because for me, it's just like I'm gonna go to sleep, but I mean at that point I just left to go practice, and it was a Saturday, but still it was just like I was up already. But it was like, oh my god, and it was like, what would have happened if I hit someone?
That is terrifying.
That was the scariest thing I think I've ever like gone through,
Yeah.
other than car crashes. But it's just like I could have hit someone. I could have hit someone and I don't realize
Right.
to this day.
That
was
is
just like-
very scary.
Like I slept and woke up in my car in a different place with clothes on. And it's
Huh. I think the only thing I can like equate something like that to is I'll have like dreams in between me waking up in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'll wake up once at like 7:30, fall back asleep, dream, and then wake up at like 8:45 or something, fall back asleep, dream again, and then wake up at 10 finally.
You
Something like that.
And no. I see what you're saying, but like, do you ever like feel like shit whenever that happens?
Sometimes. This particular one, yeah, because it was right after a good night of jolly good drink
Mm-hmm.
and what have you. And you were there, John. This was the night after my, you know,
Ah.
yeah. So it was me, Ian, and John in the basement. And I kept waking up and falling back asleep, but my dreams were like real. They were like me in the same position of me when I fell asleep, and you guys were still there. And I remember vividly like dapping up Ian in my dream, and then like waking up immediately, and Ian is gone. Like not even a second. And like it was like not even a second, like to where it could have been explained because he's out of my view,
Mm-hmm.
but like a second to where like no trace of him was left behind.
Right.
Like there was no blanket on the couch, there's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
There was nobody in that basement, and you and Ian both were down there in my dream. And I woke up, I'm like, where'd they go? And then I just left.
That morning I left really early, I think.
Yeah, I ended up doing the same. Also, one more thing. I did the same thing after VBODA. I went to Jacob's house. I had a couple, a lot. You were there. Yeah,
Yeah.
you were there because this is the day I got up in the middle of me sleeping to throw up, and I came back. I was like, I feel good, and then I went back to sleep immediately. And I woke up at 2:15 in a stupor, like, oh, I gotta. Do you remember the GTA 5 video, the Carson one, where Josh was like, oh, I gotta go to work. I gotta go to work in the morning.
Oh.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That was me. It was me at 2:15. It's like, oh, I gotta go home. I gotta work in the morning. It's 2 a.m. I gotta go to work. I guess I was like, I gotta go home.
Mm-hmm.
It was 2:15. Me driving on the Parkway, very, very twilighted.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I should have drove, but I got home safe. I
think-
was
yeah.
more
think
than
it's-
care. I was like definitely in my head. I was like, I got to be a little bit more careful
Yeah.
because not only is it almost 2:33, I'm like groggy, very,
Yeah.
very groggy. Sober but very groggy.
Message to all your kids: if you
Don't drink.
don't drink and do not drive a car.
Okay, so my reasoning was I'm sober, but I am just so tired.
Yeah.
And there's like a whole lot of things that say being tired is also like driving drunk.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, all right, well, I can get myself home. I knew I could, and I got home very safely. I didn't like swerve or nothing. I was very focused on the road,
Mm-hmm.
and it was
you
fine.
Slept.
I was fine. I got home. I went to bed.
Okay.
I woke up sometime. I don't remember. But it was good. It
Mm-hmm.
was a learning experience. I'm never gonna do that ever again because it's not worth it. I should have just like saw the time. I'm like, you know what? I'll just go back to bed. But I was in a weird phase to where I was like, I just want to go home and sleep in my bed.
Mm-hmm.
So I would leave places at like 3, like knowing I'm like good to drive, and I would just go home
Right.
because I was like, I don't want to sleep here. I want to go home.
Mm-hmm. I'll just tell people to take my keys or something.
Yeah, I'd do the same. But yeah,
I think we've hit our time.
Oh, I think we've more than hit our time.
Yeah.
This is a good talk. It's always the ones that don't have a whole lot of planning behind it that go on for a while.
I think
It's
I
true.
think it's just because once we start getting into stuff and being able to being able to like branch and dig into more of all these weird stuff. I don't know. I'm probably gonna read a creepypasta tonight before I go to sleep. Just
Yeah,
for just for old time's sake, and then like eventually pee myself.
yeah, but on purpose.
Oh no, fully aware that I'm just doing it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for listening. Yo, I don't know. Y'all have a good. I guess.
Same old links in the description.
Yes.
I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Links in the description to all of our socials and all of the petitions and whatnot that you can go and help support. We'll be back next Sunday with a brand new spanking episode.
All right.
Take
Bye.
care.
Bye.